Again, like Cheryl said, we apologize. We will get the speakers working. Don't know what's going on, but we'll figure it out. Now listen, let's I want to give a big warm, quick warm ICC welcome to Miss Misty Saban for coming Powerful, powerful woman of God. I know she hears from God. So I know the message that she has today is an on-time message for what we're dealing with right now. And it's also for a message that it's so great that I can, you know, for the first time in a long time that I'm able to sit back and I'm able to hear somebody else preach on Sunday morning. So I'm gonna get into this message.
That's right.
Just letting y'all know I'm gonna get into this message. As a pastor, you know, we pour out our hearts to our congregation every day. It's just sometimes we like to get poured into as well.
Yes.
So this is one of those moments that I'm thankful that I get to share, our pulpit with a lady as Miss Misty Saban. So once again, let's give it up for Miss Misty.
Yes.
Test. Good morning.
Good morning.
Wow, I'm excited to be here. I'm truly grateful that you guys actually looked at the flyer and still showed up. I mean, wow. Just all right, now give me 1 second to get my computer up.
I'm looking for the
That's why I'm saying like the sun is going more that way.
That might have been the reason you lost your speakers because my camera's plugged in.
No, I had unplugged it.
Oh.
Yeah, I had unplugged it.
All right, good morning. It is definitely a change of weather since the last time I stood up here.
Right.
For VBS, I think I was physically melting away.
Right.
But it was a joy and so much fun.
Yes, it was.
So how many of you guys in here, or parents, you have children, show of hands, how many of you or grandparents? Yeah, and at least some of you have nieces and nephews, right? Everybody has children in their lives.
Yes.
So don't we love when they offer their help? But, sometimes their help isn't always so helpful, right?
Right, that's true.
So I'm a mother of 3. If you don't know, I am a mother of 3. I have a 14-year-old, an 11-year-old, and an 8-year-old. And this morning, they're all in different churches. They're all with different family members and all in different churches today. As long as they hear in Jesus.
That's right.
That's good with me. So at my house, you just never know when you're going to turn around and find a chicken being launched to the moon, or a mud pie on your lawn chair, plan on sitting for your morning coffee, or even a child on the roof.
Yeah, we get those.
Yes? On the roof. So let me give you a little bit of babysitting or parenting advice or even grandparent advice. Don't erect a ladder and then go to the bathroom.
My Lord.
But look, no worries, because I said, come see, sweetie. Just don't run. Just come on. And she's still alive today, okay? She's still alive. So I have this question that I want to hear from you. And it should be on the screen. Okay. So today I want to ask you, what is the difference between a Pharisee and a follower of Jesus? Now in one word, give me your best answer. And there's nothing going to be wrong. So just give me an answer. What do you think is the difference between a Pharisee and a follower of Jesus?
Faith. Faith.
Faith,
Religion, relationship.
religion, and relationship. Anybody else can add to that?
Hypocrite.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Those are all right and good answers. And today we're going to focus in on relationship versus religion. So what if the biblical time it was a Pharisee versus a follower of Jesus? Today, what would that look like today? If we are believers, followers of Jesus versus a Pharisee, someone who maybe is religious, lacking faith, and hypocritical. And we're going to look at Romans chapter 10, verses 1 and 2. Brothers and sisters, my heart's desire and prayer to God for the Israelites is that they may be saved. For I can testify about them that they are zealous for God, but their zeal is not based upon knowledge.
Come on. Come on.
Do you think knowledge means education? Here. The Pharisees were some of the most educated people in their time. They were especially educated in the church and the things of God and in the scriptures, because they had the Torah, the Old Testament scriptures. So I'm sure he did not mean education. He said zeal without knowledge. All right, I want to share with you guys another story about my daughter. So when she was 3 years old, she loved to help. I'm baking cake. And I would bake them professionally. So wedding cakes and parties, and these cakes were not to be consumed by me or my family. So I was baking this cake, and she says, "Mommy, can I help?" I said, "Sure. Wash your hands and pull up a chair to the mixer." So she's doing this, pulling up her chair, and I walk away. Huge mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I walk away to open the pantry and get some almond extract, and when I turn around just in time to see her with 2 raw eggs, plop, plop, right in the mixer. I could only shout, "No!" It was too late. There was crushed eggs in the batter. Oh, how frustrating. I have to start over, and now it have to cost me more to make this cake. So I calmed down, emptied all the batter into the trash. And then I took the moment to speak to her. I said, "Sweetheart, you are not helping. If you are doing things your own way."
That's good. Come on.
I said, "You are not helping
Come on.
if you do not wait and listen for instructions.
Come on.
If you continue to not listen to instructions and wait on the Lord or wait on me to tell you what to do, you will no longer be able to help me. I will tell you no until you are ready to listen and follow the leading that I'm going to give you." Now, just so you know, she's 11 years old today, and she's a good helper now.
Yay, that's good.
Good teaching.
Yeah. Don't we always mean well, but things don't always turn out so well? So I was never angry at her for this.
Good.
It was an accident, and the Father is neither angry at any one of us if we tend to get things a little off sometimes. So we're going to go into the background of this text briefly. The book of Romans was written as a letter to the Church of Rome by the author Paul. He wrote this letter on his third missionary journey. So this was not his first run. His third missionary journey, he writes this letter to the church in Rome. There was a huge conflict taking place. You had the people, the Jewish people who had been in church their whole life, who had studied the scriptures, who had believed they had been doing it right, the right way. And then you had these new Jewish Gentile converts who just got saved and just came into the church. There was a conflict because the Jewish people are saying, you can't go to heaven if you aren't circumcised. Because that's what Mama said, that's what Daddy said, that's what Grandpa said. You can't go to heaven unless you do these things. They have to be done this way. You're not going. And they said, but wait, we want to follow Jesus. We don't want to be Jew. Huge conflict was taking place, and that's why this letter was written. So in this letter, Paul is addressing the attempt of self-salvation. What is self-salvation? Thinking that maybe we can get there of our own way. We can do things on our own and be able to get to heaven. They're just really thinking. So his audience, Paul's audience, is the Jewish leaders, the religious leaders, and those new Gentile converts. These people rejected Jesus. The Romans and the Jews rejected Jesus because they were too busy serving God the right way. I want you to look at this picture for a moment and just really grasp what's in here. They rejected Jesus because they were too busy serving God the right way.
Come on.
Can y'all see this?
It's blurry, but it's okay.
Y'all really see what's happening here in this picture? How can this be? Can we really be too busy serving God the right way that we completely miss Him?
Come on.
Yes, sir.
So Jewish leaders, they failed to see that from the beginning, from the Garden of Eden till today, it has never been about rules. It has always been about relationship.
Amen.
Always.
Yeah.
God was always looking at the heart of man. Always. And He is the man who can see what's in the heart of man. For He is the Father who can see what is in the heart of man. He's the only one that can see the intents of the heart. Paul was extremely concerned with the Jewish people being misled. They were misled serving God, but they were missing God. How can you be misled serving God? I'm going to tell you it's easy. I'm going to tell you it's easy to be misled while you're busy serving God. Because God was never after how good you can preach a sermon.
Come on.
He was never after how many outreaches you could serve at.
Come on.
He was never after how many scriptures you read a day.
Come on.
And he was never after how much money you give in the offering.
Come on.
I'm telling you, God is after one thing. Your relationship with him.
Yes.
How
Yes.
Come on.
How do you have a relationship? I mean, most of us have loved ones that we have relationship with, and how do we do that?
Same way.
Don't we talk to them?
Get on them.
Don't we spend time with them? I'm going to tell you today that if you are busy serving God, but you don't make time to stop and talk to him,
Come on. Come on.
don't be misled.
Come on.
Don't be misled. That's what Paul is talking about. You're busy serving in the church. You're leading the church. You're preaching the sermons. You're leading the services. And you're being misled.
Come on.
Because you think you're good. But if you never talk to Jesus, are you really good?
Come on.
The Jewish people had built their foundation. They had a false foundation built upon, I can follow the rules. I can hop on this foot, extend my arm this way, and achieve whatever needs to be done. I can do this, so I'm saved. I'm good. I can do all the things that's required of me in church or that my pastor talks about. And I'm good. I'm going to tell you, you can do all those things and still not be good. Because those things are not. They're not what God is asking for. But don't get the wrong impression. Because these things should be the overflow
Yes.
from the relationship. If you've lost the relationship, you just may have lost your salvation. Romans 10, verse 3 and 4. For being ignorant of the righteousness of God and seeking to establish their own, they did not submit to God's righteousness. For Christ is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone who believes. All right, now I'm going to explain this. So, because when they said ignorant, they meant you ignored. Because you ignored the free gift of Jesus. You don't have to do anything to be right with God. You simply need to believe. You believe. For being ignorant, he said, of the righteousness of God. That's being ignorant. That's not knowing or refusing to accept that it is just that simple. Just believe. He said because they refused to believe it was that simple, they sought to establish their own way. Pray this many prayers. They sought to establish their own way. Sit this way, stand this way, do this on this day, do that on this on another day. These things will not make you right before God. Jesus came not to, the scripture says in the law, but that's in one version. There's multiple versions where he came to fulfill the law, which is basically saying he came to make sure we understood what the law was meant for. It is a guide. The rules, the things we do, they are a guide. They are not your source.
Come on.
If you say with your mouth, your actions should line up. Because I have a saying that I posted on Facebook one day, and it comes from one of my professors. He said, for some reason I can't hear what you're saying because your actions are speaking louder.
Oh, that's good.
So this is the reality. Your actions are speaking louder than your words, even to the Father.
Come on.
If we don't spend any time with Him, we don't talk to Him. And that's all it is. We talk to Him and listen. Talk and listen. Talk and listen. That's relationship. And then pursue Him further ways through Scripture. To know Him, because that's where He wrote His, that's where we find Him at.
Yes.
We get to know Him through reading His Scriptures. Romans chapter 10, verses 9 through 10. If you declare with your mouth, Jesus is Lord, and believe in your heart that God raised Him from the dead, you will be saved. For it is with the heart that you believe and are justified. That is your righteousness. It is with the heart you believe, and that's where you are righteous before God. And with your mouth that you profess faith and are saved. Now that's the action part. So it is with your mouth you're going to start confessing, and there should be action to follow. That you are saved. Anyone who believes in Him will never be put to shame. What He means is you will never be sent to hell for anyone that believes in Him. So again, the rules, the instructions we get, the things we find in Scripture are meant to be a guide. They are not the source of our salvation. And as I've said before, if you have lost relationship, or maybe you never had one, you have lost your salvation. You have lost it. For there's Scripture that's shared. I had it written down. It's in Matthew. He said, you'll come before me. There it is. I knew I had it somewhere. Matthew chapter 7, verse 22. He said, many will say to me in that day,
Come on.
Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name? Have we not cast out devils in your name? And in thy name have we done wonderful works? And then the Lord will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of iniquity.
No.
So here you see Jesus saying, it's not by the gifts you have, it's not by the service you give, the works you do, but He said, because you did not know me. This is what the heart of Christianity is. Know the Father. That's it. It is really just that simple. Take some time to know Him. So I know my daughter, in her excitement to help, she just like jumped in and threw eggs in the mixer and messed everything up. And sometimes in our excitement to serve God, this is what we do. We make up things that we think fit, and that this is what we need to do. This is how we need to do it. And then sometimes we might even impose them on others. Hey, you have to listen to this music. You have to do this that way. You have to do this, that, and another. So we impose on others what we think is the right way. And this is actually what the Jewish leaders were doing. What they had, they believed was the right way. And others needed to do exactly what they were doing. It is easy to be overzealous and think we have the only way that God should be served. See, for us, it may not be circumcision and Sabbath day of rest and certain feast days and things like that. But for us today, it could be reading our Bible. We may think that we read our Bible enough, went to church twice this week. I repented this week too. And I abstained from all obvious sins. So I'm good. And I say again, if you've lost the relationship,
Come on.
you've lost your salvation.
Come on.
God does not want what you can just do for him. He wants to know you. He wants to talk to you. He does not need anything. He's God. He's the creator of all things. He doesn't need more Sunday school teaching, more cleaning the church, more painting the building or non-building. He doesn't need more sermons preached or Bible studies taught or more meals cooked for the ministry. He simply wants you. He wants you. So if we ever feel like God's grace is a license to sin, I'm going to have to ask you, check your heart. Where is your heart? Right?
Come on.
Where is your heart? Should we really be walking that close to the edge that if something doesn't go quite right, you slip off? No. Because then where is your heart? If you say you love Jesus, you love the Lord, but you don't listen to him, how many of us, as a parent or even as a leader or a grandparent, if they're not listening, how are you feeling? Are you feeling like it's time to buy them a gift and celebrate and give them a present? No. No, 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 no. If they're not listening, sometimes we even get to the place where we feel unloved. You're in a marriage with a husband or a wife, and they don't ever take the time to listen to anything you have to say. Will you feel loved or disrespected? So today, think about this. The Father wants a relationship. He's the bridegroom. We are all his bride. He wants a relationship. He wants you to talk to him. He wants you to spend time with him. Now, we've heard through the years, an hour, right? You have to be an hour. I'm going to tell you, in this life, in this busy world, I may not always have an hour. Because sometimes keeping up with an hour is a bit hard. Life happens. So what can we do? What can we actually do? We can set aside 5 minutes. Find a place. Call it that's where I'm going to meet God at. Find a chair. Find a tree. Outside. Somewhere you can go. And that is your place. I'm going to give God, today I got 5 minutes and I'm going to give it to Him. I'm going to go and be grateful and just talk to Him for a minute. I promise you, if you are consistent, because consistency is the only key to actual change. Not how you can set out one day and lose 500, you set out in a season and lose 500 pounds, right? You're going to be like perfect. You're going to have your body right. But if you aren't consistent, you're going to be right back where you started. If you start working out, you work out so hard every muscle in your body hurts. But then you never work out again for the rest of the year. Will there be any change? Consistency. I think it's Craig Rochelle that said, the small things that we do daily makes the difference between an ordinary person and an extraordinary person. The small things you do daily makes the difference between an ordinary person and an extraordinary person. So I say start with 5 minutes. Give God 5 minutes. And if something happens, you can't give Him 5 minutes in the morning before you leave and go about day, give Him 5 minutes before bed. See, if you do 5 minutes, and today it's in the bathroom, tomorrow it's in the kitchen, tomorrow it's on the chair, and here's there, I promise you, you will lose that. You will not be able to keep it. If you set one spot, 5 minutes, I'm going, every day, you'll be able to be consistent, and God may not always speak to you in those 5 minutes, so don't be discouraged. Because you give Him them 5 minutes, and then as you're driving in your car later, you're going to hear from the Lord. Consistency is the key to real change. So the Jewish people, and this can happen to any one of us, they got into these routines or these formulas that make us into mindless robots. This is not what the Lord wants. This is not what the Lord ever had in mind. Mindless, robotic people that never speak to Him. He's God. He could have created that if He wanted it. So He doesn't want us using systems and formulas and rules and structure to become that way. Put aside formulas, rituals, rules, structures. Put that aside and be consistent to talk to the Lord, and that's it. And if He gives you something more to do, listen, do it, because He's asked.
That's right.
Yeah, I want to share this one with you. So, has anybody ever wondered why the prodigal son story? Why was the son so upset that the good son was upset that the prodigal son came back? You see, the good son had been in the house of God or in the house of the Father the whole time. He had done everything he was supposed to do the right way. And the prodigal son ran off and then he comes back, right? I want to point something out that you probably never thought of. If the good son had been spending time with the Father, had been with the Father and with his heart and been listening to his heart, the good son would have wept with the Father when the prodigal came home.
Amen.
But instead, he put his hands on his hips and said, "Why are you celebrating him for?" And when we get caught up in rituals and rules and formulas and forget to spend time with God,
Come on.
we become that way.
Come on.
We say, that person's not wearing the right clothes. That person listens to the wrong song. That person is not talking right. We get caught up in that. because we're too busy serving God the right way. And we've lost the relationship with God in the first place. We should weep with the Father when those that are lost and hurting and broken and
Yes,
don't get it
yes.
all right show up back at the house of God. So in conclusion, unfortunately, it is possible to be in church every week. Unfortunately, it is possible to be in church every week and miss God. It's very possible to be in church every week and still not be saved.
Come on.
Because if you have lost the relationship, you have lost your salvation.
That's right.
So I challenge you today and throughout the days to come, talk to God. But always give him a chance to talk back. Let us serve God through relationship, through love, not through mindless formulas. So I want to thank you guys for your attention. You guys are a great audience.